So in this video, my son-in-law Joel and I, we went down to Central Ohio to do a short 3-day bow hunt. We've been looking forward to this all year. And there's quite a few big bucks down in this particular area on this piece of private land. And you might remember some of these buck rub pictures from earlier this spring when he and I went down to do some postseason scouting. We took some of our equipment and tried to see if we could find some trees in which we could spike a few more trees for our tree saddle. And this is a great time of year to be looking for some of this sign and really find out where is the best place to, stage your stands based on the rut sign from the previous year. So we try to concentrate into these thicker areas because we know that from experience, Ohio bow hunters generally hunt field edges. So anyway, first week of November, we loaded up the Jeep and we headed south, but we had to stop at the store first because we had to buy a couple of care packages for the landowner for giving us permission. So we figured, let's buy our hunting and fishing licenses there. We'll get a couple care packages. We'll deliver them over to the landowner, and we're off and ready to go hunting. So the Monday afternoon, we were ready to hit the trees. So here's an aerial view of this property that Joel and I have permission to hunt. This is a little over 200 acres right here. And what you'll notice here is we got some power lines that kind of split the property from east to west. We have 6 trees in which we have prepared for our tree saddle, and we did this in the spring, obviously. And I don't know if you can see this here, but this is a little piece of really thick cover that was logged off years ago. And you can see that the texture of these trees is a little bit different than over here. These are big open hardwoods. You can see a country mile through these woods with a high canopy. And this right here, you can tell it looks a little different. And this is a lot of little scrub brush, a lot of autumn olives, hawthorns. Just really, really dangerous really to walk through here. If you're not watching where you're going, you'll poke an eye out. It's just ridiculous. And then over here also is a big, huge bedding area. So I'm just going to circle. I'll just circle these bedding areas here a little bit and kind of give you an idea of exactly what we're dealing with here. Now, there's a little creek bed that runs right through here, and we found in the spring too that this is pretty thick, and we found some beds in here. And we know from experience that deer tend to move north and south through this area here. And this tree right here we have come to know as our number one tree. It used to be this one over here, but there's been a youth group in this property, and they blazed ATV trails through these woods. They've got yellow caution tape that they've strung around trees so that the young people don't get lost going through the woods. But in years past, we've had a lot of buck activity going across this power line, going from bedding area to bedding area during the seeking phase, these bucks looking for hot does, and also from this bedding area going into here. So there's a network of trails going all through here. It's just really, really hard to hunt because there's really not a lot of big trees in which you can hang a tree stand or a climber. Climbers definitely can't get into any of these trees here, and nor any of these bedding areas really. But very simple to hunt with a tree saddle, very portable. We're not giving away our positions at all. And so next year, what we're going to do though is we're going to block off some of these networks of trails where these bucks like to go from bedding area to bedding area. We're going to block those off and only give them a few options instead of several options so that we can cover some of the active trails that will leave open with just a few trees. So that's really going to concentrate the activity just on a few runs instead of several runs, and really ought to hopefully make it a slam dunk because the activity in that first week of November is prolific going through here. The other reason why we really like this property though is because a lot of the local hunters that hunt around here, they hunt a lot of field edges, or they hunt a lot of open timber, like you see over in this area. I mean, guys have they got stands along these field edges in these corners, and even along this power line down in over here somewhere too. There's tree stands right along the edge here. Guys just like to see deer. With all the big bucks they have in this particular area, they don't feel that they have the necessity isn't there to go into this hard to hunt thick stuff and shoot a big buck. But you know, us guys in Michigan, we're kind of used to that. We're forced to do that here in Michigan with all the hunting pressure. So it's a totally different mindset between guys in Michigan and guys that hunt in Ohio. What we normally do is we'll park way down over here by this tree line, and we cross this road, we walk along the field edge, walk right along here, and we jump onto this little 2-track that goes through the woods. It comes out into here, and then we take this power line, which is a heavily used ATV trail right through this power line, and we're able to access our trails without going through a lot of multiflora rows and high weeds and whatnot, where we're leaving our scent where it's brushing up against us. So it's just basically boots on the ground that we're having to deal with along this area here. So anyway, let me show you a little bit closer up view of this property. Okay, so now we're really zoomed in on this power line here, and you can see there's a pretty heavily ATV trail that's being used going right through here. And this picture is quite old though, and a lot of this stuff is really a lot of tall weeds. Your goldenrod, which is about elbow to armpit high, all through this area here. But this ATV trail here is pretty well open that we use. But you can see the transition in the type of cover from the open hardwoods. You can see this this area here is all open hardwoods. You can see a long ways. But then when you get into this area right here, you can see it's a little bit different. It's a lot of scrub brush, and different than what you can see over here in the open hardwoods. So this is where a lot of the primary scrape areas and the bedding areas are. And this edge right here, there's pine trees along this edge here, and it's about, I'd say, 50 yards thick along this power line is all pine trees basically. And this is an edge or a lane that you can see right through here, and we call this buck rub alley. Every single one of these big trees through here has been hit by big deer, just absolutely nuts. So we've got a tree over here, and we've got a tree in one of these pine trees down here. The corner of this right here, this green tree, let me see if I can zoom in one more time. This tree right here is the tree that we have found is really a hot tree. And it's kind of like a central hub where there's a lot of activity. Bucks will come right down through the edge of here and go into here. They come in through here. They go into there. I mean, the bucks are coming out from under here, going in this way, and there's a lot of shot opportunities right from this tree right here. So we're going to block off some of these trails that these deer take that we can't shoot to, and we're going to force them to kind of come a little closer on some of these trails in which we can shoot with the bow. So anyway, with that said, let's get on with the video.
So it's November 5 here in Ohio. Joel and I got here at around noon today. We're going to be here for a few days, but we were going to sit in a different spot today that we had all prepped out earlier this spring. But when we got here, the farmer was already combining some of his corn just to the west of this field of this woodlot. So because of the activity that might come in or out of this field, we decided to sit a little bit closer to this cornfield. So you can probably hear the combine running behind me here. We're thinking that while he's picking the corn, deer could come out of that corn and into this woodlot, which is right next to the corn. And he's only got maybe a half hour to an hour left before he's done. And those last few rows may jump a deer our way into this woodlot. So we may be able to get some deer coming from the woodlot going to the corn, because since it's just freshly picked, there's a lot of, loose corn laying on the ground, and being the very first night, they might just flock out there because it's easy pickings. So we changed our strategy a little bit here. We're going to see if this works, but it's really nice weather. It's calm out here. It's about 45 degrees, sun's out, and just a beautiful day to sit in the woods we're just gonna sit back and see what happens. So it's our second day of me and Joel being down here in Ohio, and I did not see very many deer today. We saw some tree stands, saw a ground blind, kind of disappointing. We never saw that here before on this property, but I did see a 6-point walk through this morning at about 8:30. I've seen about 9 does this morning. But so I decided to move to a different tree that I spiked about 4 years ago. I've always seen a lot of bucks in this tree, but it's not very high, and I got picked off a couple times, so I kind of wrote this tree off for the last few years. But I decided to sit in it again because the other tree that we spiked earlier this spring just wasn't it wasn't prepared all the way. We ran out of steps when we were here in the spring, so I didn't have enough steps with me today to finish prepping it. So I decided to sit in this tree. About 3 o'clock, I heard some footsteps coming through the leaves, and I couldn't tell, where it was coming from because this whole area is so thick you can't hardly see anything. And all of a sudden, I saw a buck coming from over there. I immediately saw that it was a pretty wide rack. It looked pretty heavy. The sun was in my eyes though, and that buck was directly southwest of me, and the wind's coming out of the northeast today. So he never picked me up. He was right directly downstream from me, about 30 yards. And I'm going to show you what I'm looking at here. But I saw that buck over there in that opening. He was coming toward me. And I saw he was a nice wide rack. And given the fact that we're not seeing the buck activity, and the fact that we think the Boy Scouts are hunting this thing pretty hard, my quality standards immediately went down once we found that out, because we're just not seeing the activity here like we used to. So my shot is over to my left, over to this side. This is my strong side because I'm right-handed. It would have been a no-brainer shot on this side. But if the buck comes over on this side, I got to completely turn around, which I did. And I did a backhanded shot. I completely had to go around my tree with my tree saddle. And I got him right through there. There's a couple little trees way off in the distance there. Right there, right those 2 trees in the middle. He walked right in front of that, and it's just one little opening, and I was able to get an arrow through there. Now, when the buck was hit with the arrow, he did the old mule kick. He trotted off about 15 yards. He stopped, and then he just walked off. But then about 5 minutes later, I thought I heard some thrashing in the leaves. So hopefully, I'm going to wait, though, about another half hour to get down just to look for where my arrow is, see what kind of blood I got. And but I'm going to give this guy a good while to die because I'm not exactly sure where I shot him. Because as you can see, it's very thick in there. And I completely lost the deer after he ran off, because he ran off in this direction. And as you can see, it's just very nasty thick through here. So I'm just going to wait it out and see what happens. And hopefully Joel will get a nice shot tonight too.